Namaste, namaste, everybody. I'm Dr. Mima, and I am coming to you today to share with you some important information for those of you who have been living in Los Angeles and exposed to the LA fires, particularly your homes that have been devastated and lost, and some of you worried about your homes and your things. I just want to bring to your attention some important information for you to keep in mind as you are now coming out on the other side. Thank goodness the winds are going to be hopefully slowing down, and we're at a point where we can actually consider re-entering some of these areas. But I want to just make you aware of some of the risks that are there when you are re-entering, and caution you to some of the things that can show up in your body if you are exposed to certain chemicals, what to do when that happens, and what to look for. Again, I'm Dr. Mima. I have a practice in Los Angeles. I was living on the actual area that has been affected by the fires less than a month ago. And my heart just breaks for friends in the community that are now losing their homes and trying to figure out how to come out of this on the other side, and others who are not sure of what's left behind, of their belongings, what the state looks like. My heart is with you today, and always I'm there for you in the community. I'm a functional medicine doctor, Ayurvedic health provider, was a neighbor in living in Topanga Canyon and the Palisades, and I am here to support the community with wellness checks, as well as support in facilitation of retreats that will be offered to the community as well. So let's start first by focusing on what the current situation is, which is the winds are dying down, and slowly the fire safety commissioners are saying that we can start to re-enter the grounds. And as you consider that, I want you to think about some of the things that we're exposed to during a fire, because remember, environmental toxins are always present, but when there's heat that's come and essentially burned a lot of the matter that was present, things in our homes, the actual building materials of our homes, cars, and there has been a lot of volatile substances, VOCs, that have been released into the atmosphere in the last week. And there are carcinogens that we're exposed to, like formaldehyde, dioxins, heavy metals, lead, mercury. And then obviously there's pollution in the environment that may have died down because the winds certainly help things move along. But be particularly careful as you're interacting in a closer setting, and maybe even in closed settings, with your things that might have been exposed to the fires. Things like toluene and benzenes, these are very well-known carcinogens, are in the environment when you're going back in. So wear gloves, so it's very, very important, and wear a mask to protect yourself, to protect your lungs. I want you to remember there are some things to look out for right away, like respiratory distress, any changes in your breathing that feel abnormal, like you're breathing really short breaths, or you're having difficulty breathing. There are carcinogens, but there are also allergens in the environment that can exacerbate things like COPD, and can cause irritation in the throat and the eyes. So if you are feeling this, I really encourage you to wear the goggles, wear the mask, and be very careful as you go back into these environments. And if you start feeling these things, really just come back out, give yourself a break, do a rinse of all these toxic chemicals, and think about your exposure. And then long term, there are serious consequences to being exposed to carcinogens for long periods of time. So really to rethink um, your choices going forward, because there are risks of cancer, leukemias, lung cancer, bladder cancers that come from being exposed to VOCs that are in the environment like this. There's major cleanup needed. There is, professional cleanup needed before one can feel safe to re-enter a space like that without proper protection. So if you are needing to go in and you have no other choice, and this is something you absolutely have to do, I want you to know some of the signs and symptoms to look out for. If the exposure does take place, respiratory symptoms like persistently coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, and chest tightness. So these are all signs of inflammation, and it could be exacerbation of asthma. It can be acute, it can be an acute allergen. That's your body saying, to really move away from the exposure when you start having symptoms like this, and to work on your lung health as a priority. And then neurological symptoms, if you notice you're having headaches, a lot of fatigue can be toxin related. So your body getting tired. Certainly there's a very large stress that took place. There's lack of sleep and worry, but then there's sometimes even more fatigue on top of that is actually can be directly caused by toxin exposure to the body. Difficulty concentrating, again, also a result of the experience, but can be a result of a compounded effect of toxin exposure and unusual mood changes, because these toxins do, as a result, affect our hormones also. So this is, going back to functional medicine concepts. Gut health is really critical in bringing all of this back into balance, the gut health. But starting first with noticing these signs and symptoms that could show up. So, like mood changes, skin changes, rashes, burns, obviously, are things to be mindful of in the state of chemical exposure, because that can be present and has taken place possibly. Um, Nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain. So if there's contamination of the food, notice your urine, notice your stool if it's getting looser, more diarrhea if your urine is getting darker. Those are signs of toxic exposures and times to seek medical care if that's the case. And then long term, sometimes people will notice chronic fatigue kick in. So 2, 3, 4 months out, chronic fatigue, unexplained weight loss can also occur. And this is when we would do, a deeper analysis to see what the effects are on the body. So would do toxin exposure tests to see if it's actually gotten into your body and is causing symptoms. Sometimes it takes a while before it shows up in some of those tests. But the signs and symptoms I mentioned earlier are the ones that happen right away. So I want you to be aware of these and to make sure that you seek the proper medical care if they do show up, because that is a sign of toxic exposure. And then, really considering things, alternative ways to approach reliving, rehoming. Think about where, your air quality, what is it? What is it? Are you measuring it inside your home? Are you wearing PPE? Are you having a mask on? This is a time with particulate matter in the environment. Masks can actually be quite helpful. Cleaning and decontamination, I wouldn't take it on myself if you have a medical condition, you're already immunocompromised, you don't want to be exposing yourself to those chemicals. If you can get help, get professional cleaning done, it's the best way to go. Or at least wear full protection if you are going to go take that on your own. And then later on, we want to do things like test our water and things like that to make sure that everything is back to usable in your home. Um, when to seek support. So if any of these symptoms end up being a present or a problem, I encourage you to immediately seek medical support. From a detoxification perspective, I'll be sharing more about ways to reduce the exposure on your nervous system, support your sleep, help you detoxify. And really, my heart goes out to all of those of you who are exposed to the fires, both those living in that area whose homes have been affected, those who've been working in those areas, those who have been supporting those areas, energetically, whether it's family or if it's people who've been coming in to support those areas. My heart goes out to all of you. So I extend this offer to everybody that I have a holistic functional medicine practice based out of LA, and I was also living in the community. So for the community, I'm offering a special offer for those of you who are seeking functional medicine support as well. So please do reach out to me directly, and we can get you set up for care as well for those of you who are in the community, who are struggling, who need more financial support. I will also be setting up donations through the practice so that we can cover the costs of necessary health care that is provided to those who have been in the community affected by the fires. So again, I'm Dr. Mima Geer. I'm a functional medicine doctor, a medical doctor, an Ayurvedic health provider, and I'm here to support those of you who have been exposed to the fires. I'm also a scholar in environmental toxins and circadian rhythm balance to support the nervous system, and researcher in those areas as well. So I look forward to meeting you and getting to know you. And please do reach out if there's any specific concerns. I'll be sharing the contact information here as well. And we can work together to come up with a solution that is best there to support your needs. Thank you so much.